You gotta just chill out, man.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. We'll get this out. This is Steel Curtain Network's Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night, a little bit after 9 p.m. Where else would you rather be, Steelers fans? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how's it going tonight?
Okay, first, we will all together now just take a moment to breathe in that sweet smell of Steeler victory.
Yes.
And then we'll all give Dave a hard time because he's stumbling over words left and right tonight.
Yes, I am. Why? Because I said my big brother, Rich? I said that. Yeah, I said
Oh, you
once.
stumbled.
Hey,
Yeah.
For those watching here live and seeing us on video, if you're not watching live, but watching us on video, nice to see you've got your Steelers tree back there behind you.
Just put it up right before the podcast tonight.
Oh, there you go. Well, if you haven't seen it, then you can see on Jeff Hartman's, if you don't follow Jeff Hartman on Twitter, I was tagged. I don't know if he tagged, I'm pretty sure he tagged me there. We put up our Steelers tree and our traditional tree at the one display that we have here locally. Brian was there as well. It was the all three families were there. Almost everyone from all three families was there. We did that on Saturday. I actually got a notice. I think this is the 9th year that I've done a tree. I started doing a tree before I was even ever writing or even met Jeff or Brian. That I did one just for me, and that's a tradition that we've adopted. We even ended up on, what was it, KDKA on Christmas Day the one year because it's funny, when Jeff and I went and picked out the tree the first day we could, and there was someone there with the Ravens telling us, well, there's one over in the corner. There's whatever. I'm like, oh, you guys have 2 trees. I'm like, oh. And at the time I said, well, you need a 3rd tree. That way that you can match your number of wins. But they've actually increased their wins a couple since then. But we were just, back and forth there. But yeah, excited to have the Steelers tree. More excited about a Steelers win.
Yes, me too.
And we're going to talk about this in the show about what the Steelers win over the Bengals did and didn't tell us. Because there's some people that are reading way too much into it. Some people that are dismissing it way too much with this Steelers win. But hey, right now, first and foremost, the Steelers needed to get back on the winning track. That was important, right?
Yeah. They needed to get on the winning track. And you know what? This one was still in question at halftime, but it didn't take too long into the second half to know the Steelers pretty much had the game in hand.
Well, it's very interesting in these kind of games. There's something. This brings me back to 2022 and even 2023. That when you are playing a game and it's really about your defense getting the job done, and you're playing a prolific offense, it could be a very close game, and you're just like, yeah, but at any moment, something big could go for the other team. At any moment, you just know that it potentially could happen. But you know what? It didn't.
It did happen for our team.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, for the defense, for sure. But you're just kind of waiting at any moment, when's that one big play going on? There's going to be a massive run or a coverage bust or something like that. You can play such good defense for so much of the game and then mess up something big on one play and it's just done. But that didn't happen with the Steelers. And to me, the biggest thing that this game told me was that the Steelers are figuring things out defensively. Because I know some people want to poo-poo it and say the Bengals are a terrible team. The Bengals are a terrible defense.
Yes.
The Bengals are a terrible defense. But I keep reminding people, and they kept saying over the last 4 weeks. Now, one of those weeks was a bye week for the Bengals. They were coming off of a bye, but over the last 4 weeks, the Bengals were the number one offense in a lot of categories. They were putting up crazy points. They were putting up crazy yards. They were throwing the ball like crazy. There was a lot of big numbers for that offense, which goes back to the first time they played the Steelers, and they held them to 12 points.
Yeah.
And they held them to under 300 yards of offense.
Yes.
And that was big for me as much as anything, because it wasn't that long ago when I was sitting on my couch watching that game on a Thursday night with the rest of my family and felt this team couldn't stop anybody when they played the Bengals. They couldn't stop anything. And then I chalked it up a little bit to Thursday night football, short week on the road, AFC North, blah, blah, blah. And then then they did the same thing the next week against the Packers. And then they made a trade, and they started to get things figured out a little bit. And it was something, because when I say that the Steelers defense is starting to figure some things out, I don't think it's all players. I think the players are figuring some things out and making plays, and the coaches are figuring out the best schemes for the players that they have. And it just seems to start to be, coming together a little bit more.
Yes.
That's safe to say?
That's safe to say. Safe to say, the reasons I felt this game was a big deal for the defense in particular was, yes, they held that offense to 12 points.
Yeah.
As you said, under 300 yards of offense. And on top of that, they took a guy who absolutely torched them with 16 catches several weeks ago and held him to 3.
Yes.
And have caused him now to miss this week's game.
Yes, I know there's still an appeal going on, but there's no way he's going to win that.
He's not winning.
He's not winning that.
No, he's not winning that appeal. Now, the only thing I thought they could have done, and actually there were a lot of folks nationally that were calling for it. A lot of guys were saying, "Hey, they should. This is crazy. He should get 2 games." There were a lot of folks saying he should get 2 games. I thought that if they gave him 2 games, it would be so when he would appeal, they'd knock it back to 1. But I think they're just like, nope.
They've been holding up a lot of the appeals lately. They've been, they haven't, yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to win this appeal. So
the only way he would have gotten 2 games is if Ramsey would have gotten something as well, other than his just ejection.
No, the reason they maybe would have gone two games is, think about this, okay?
Well, yeah, okay. I said that wrong. I didn't mean the only way, but that's a way that definitely would have happened. But yeah, sorry.
But if you stop and think about it, Jalen Carter, before the very first snap from center of the season, Spitz gets kicked out of that game.
Yeah.
And missed another game.
No, he didn't. They counted it. They counted that as the game.
Did they count that as the game?
I think I'm going to look that up real quick. I'm pretty sure they counted that as the game that he lost. He played in week 2. Yeah. So he got the 1 game, but because he missed the entire game, they counted it as that game.
That was nice of the league, because they technically don't have to do that.
They didn't have to do that, but they're like, we're going to do a game, but you already set out a game, so that's what it's going to be. So if they would have done another game on top of it, then absolutely, then Chase should have gotten another.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, he should have got a second game just because he lied about it. But that's
I love that. He's sitting there saying, no, I didn't do it. And it's like,
yeah. That's what Steeler Chick 46 said.
Dude.
I didn't even know she said that. 2 games, 1 for spit, 2nd for lying. I would love that.
Brian Miswa said it as well. Yeah, he said it over on Facebook. So we had somebody on YouTube, somebody on Facebook, right at the same time, thinking the same thing.
Yes. So
that was.
I don't want to get too much into that.
No, but I do want to say. I would say this: if this was one of our players, okay. What I hope they would have said hey, this guy said you did this, I'd have deflected and not answered the question.
Yeah. Well,
Because to straight up lie just is a bad
well,
look.
you're gonna love this. This is a Dave thing. This is from Dave's grammar school. I actually responded to a tweet by Bob Pompiani, and a lot of people liked it. And I got some responses to it. I said, well, technically because of the double negative when he said, I didn't spit on nobody, that means that he did spit on somebody.
Yeah.
So technically he didn't lie.
There you go.
Because
There
he
you
didn't
go.
say his correct English. Yeah. So that's
All I could think about while this whole thing was going on was the Seinfeld episode.
you know, Jeff
There
and
must
Brian-
have been
Yeah.
a second spitter.
Yeah. Well, and we were referencing that and things like that in the post-game show, but we didn't get to see the video until after the show because
it came out during the show.
During the show.
Yep, came out during the show.
And then, so as soon as the show's over, Jeff and Brian and I we're watching while we're still, you know, sitting here like you and I are now, but the live show was over. And Edward's like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a second. They said this is definitive. I didn't say anything. And then I watched it again. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, you can see that. I didn't catch it the first time. But
I've been having
again,
fun.
I'm like, that's plain as day.
I know we got to get off
People
this, but
slow it down. It was like, yeah.
But it's been so fun watching some of the memes and things come out. Somebody took Chase Claypool's arms and head and put him on the Hawk-Tua girl.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So
oh my gosh. I'm like,
Brian Miswa says, wasn't the actual proof video from the Cincinnati TV announcers?
they actually broke it pretty early. I don't know if they
Yeah.
were first, but they were out there quick.
Yeah, but I know it was someone who, I don't know if it was TV announcers or who, but I know that video, the main video that had that out there where you could see it, that came from Cincinnati media.
Yeah.
And I know some people were given a hard time about that. Why would you do that? It's like, all right, what do? Do you
How would you feel? How would you feel if another
integrity?
team did that and got away with it? You know, sometimes doing what's right outweighs doing what's best for your team.
Yes. And I mean, you've got to have some journalistic integrity and things of that nature. So,
Now,
all right. So what were we? So,
you know what?
So we
I
got
gotta let me roll that back.
What do you got?
Let me roll that back Steeler wise real quick.
Okay.
That thing. So after that was found that that happened, I was then okay with Jalen Ramsey's reaction. Did Jalen Ramsey need to be tossed out of that game? Yes,
Yes, he did.
He did. Okay. I just wish the officials would have seen him kick Chase out as well, but that didn't happen. But
Yeah.
you know, I was really mad at Ramsey at first, but then after everything came out at the end, it's like, you know what? I get it. I get the reaction because I would have reacted the same way.
And no, I don't think that Jamar Chase was told to spit on him. I don't think so. But I said in the postgame show, and I still think that this is a little bit there, that they're saying, hey, Ramsey's worked up. If they don't jump on this fourth down,
Get him.
see if you can get him worked up enough to lose it and get us the first down, which did happen. Maybe they didn't do that. But I mean, maybe no one said that to Jamar Chase, but I bet you anything that was in the back of his mind to try to get him to lose it. And I think he thought he could get away with it because it was that it was in between plays, during a timeout, things like that he could actually. But no, it was. I'm just glad that they were able to see it and know the truth. I like Coach Tomlin's comment today. It was the next to last question of the press conference. If you didn't catch the press conference, you could listen to my recap of it that we had out there as a podcast. Here was the question. It says, Jalen Ramsey plays with an edge. He has his whole career. When something like that happens on Sunday, because the play before they had to be separated, was your message to him to try to simply remove himself from that stuff? And as a competitor, how do you sort of keep him didn't finish the question because that's when Coach Tomlin jumped in and said, I have no message if someone spits in your face. Do what comes natural. So to me, that was Coach Tomlin having his guys back to say, hey, he lost it. We don't want to lose it. We want to keep our composure in those moments. But when something like that's beyond football, I mean, because that has no place in it.
No.
You know? That's if you want to beat someone, if you got a problem with someone, you want to talk trash, you want to talk smack, you want to do things like that. You want to hit them hard, you want to block them after the whistle, you want to do things like that. You know, things that are still football related. That's not football related. I think that was Coach Tomlin's point.
Yeah, there are people that are like, that happens to Ramsey. That after that, he's probably seeing red. You know what? I have gone off like him before. No, you don't see red. You basically black out in rage. And I'm guessing that's exactly what Jalen Ramsey did there.
Yeah.
He probably couldn't tell you exactly what happened between the time the spit hit him and they're getting him into the locker room. He could probably tell you just very little about that because he is just blacked out enraged.
Yep. So, all right, I want to bring this up, and then we're gonna move on.
Then we're gonna move on.
It's a big thing, but we got so many other good things to talk about. Because we got $4.99 in the tip jar super chat here from Thomas Potts. Thank you very much. Says, would they have already made the decision to punish Ramsey by now? My answer is yes. They would have announced them together. So yeah, that's why I said if they would have given Ramsey anything for that beyond him being ejected from the game, then I think they would have had to have given Chase more. They didn't, so therefore they gave Chase what they have done. Otherwise, remember Trey Turner when he was with the Steelers, he missed a game he got kicked out of a game. I think did he get suspended for the next one?
I don't remember.
I think so for that.
I can tell you this: there will be more punishment on Ramsey. His wallet will be a little lighter.
Yeah, I'm sure
there's probably a fine still coming for that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But he's not going to have to miss any more time.
He's not going to miss a game check.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah. So that was crazy. Now let's get back to some of the things that we were talking about here, and that was what this win really meant for the Steelers. How did I say it? What it did and didn't tell us. And like I said, some people are poo-pooing on this, and I think we'll get to the offense eventually. But we were all talking about the defense, so let's stick to the defense. And we said 12 points against a team that the previous 3 games had been averaging like 37.8 points a game.
And only 1 sack.
Yeah.
Only sacked the quarterback 1 time.
Had a lot of pressure.
Had a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But only got him to the ground 1 time with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
I think, to me, what I was thinking as the game was going on, Dave, was actually that it was nice to see this defensively. They came in with a plan to basically take one guy out of the game and then limit the damage done by other guys. Mm-hmm. And they really did that. So, they pretty much took Chase out of the game and limited the damage that Brown and Higgins could do.
And Fant and
Yelcevich
or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And that really, I don't know, it was nice to see playing a team that has the weapons that Cincinnati has and the Steelers be able to pretty much come up with a plan to neutralize them, and it worked.
Yeah, to come up with because I didn't know what I was more worried about, whether or not the players could do the plan or whether or not the Steelers could actually come up with a plan that would work. And they did both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very reassuring to me. Here's another thing. This is a number that I'd have dropped in my numbers article, but I didn't catch it in time. Okay? That number is 17. The Bengals had 17 first downs in this game. That is the fewest the Steelers have allowed all season.
Okay.
Now, they only allowed 18 the week before against the Chargers, which was for me, showing some evidence that the defense was still doing a nice job the week before against the Chargers. When they lost, they were just out on the field way too long, and the offense wasn't doing anything to support them. That actually gets it to, I mean, now they gave up a good bit of first downs against the Colts, but most of those were in the fourth quarter. A lot of those were in the fourth quarter. They have 26. But the last two games are the first games this season where the Steelers gave up under 20 first downs. And you're like, well, is that number really important? Well, if you're not giving up big plays and you're not giving up first downs, it's that combination. Yeah. Because think about it. You could have a 90-yard drive and only get 3 first downs if you're hitting 2 or 3 big plays. And remember, every touchdown counts as a first down.
Yeah. So even though you can give up some first downs as long as it's, okay, we'll pin them back on their 15-yard line. We'll give up 3 first downs that each gain, that each time they pass the marker, they only pass it by a yard or 2. And that ends in a punt.
Yeah.
3 first downs and a punt can happen.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, Dave. That was actually a good one.
Yeah, so I just felt that, that just goes to show a little bit more of what was going on defensively for the Steelers. But I'll still tell you, the number one telling statistic when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025, if you want to know what's going to give you a win or a loss other than points, because that obviously is what matters on the scoreboard, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
It's all about the win and the turnover battle.
Yep.
When the Steelers have lost the turnover battle, they have lost the game. Every game this season. When the Steelers have won the turnover battle, even if it was just by 1, they have won every game this season. And when the Steelers have been even in turnovers, they are 500.
Yep. And if you think about it, that plays out about the way you'd expect it.
Yeah. So, and that's why so many people are like, oh, this defense relies too much on takeaways. Because you know what? You're trying to create them because they're basically the number one stat of determining your wins and losses. That's a really, really big, important thing. So don't knock the Steelers for getting a bunch of takeaways in order to win a game. Because guess what? That's the number one. I mean, I think I mentioned this. I don't think it was on this show. I think it was on Pittsburgh Standard Time last week, where someone on the website was arguing about how you shouldn't judge a defense by takeaways. You shouldn't want to rely on them. You should want to get stops. I'm like, that is a stop.
Yeah,
it
is a stop.
If it's third down, whether you get an interception or you force a punt, you're getting the ball back. The biggest question is where. But they're like, well, teams don't win championships by running through the playoffs relying on takeaways. I'm like, that's exactly what the Eagles did last year. Now, the part of it was because they won decisively because they had such huge turnover margins.
Yeah.
They went +4, +2, +4, +2. They only had 1 turnover the entire postseason. It was in the Super Bowl, but they had 3 takeaways. And think about that. So if they wouldn't have been +2 against the Rams, they lose that game. They don't make it to the Super Bowl. So
saying that doesn't matter. Let's think about the Steelers' last Super Bowl victory. The Steelers' last Super Bowl victory doesn't happen without turnovers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just – so the thing is, if I understand the philosophy of you can't expect to get turnovers to win the game. I'm like, true, but if you're taking care of the football and you get a turnover, that really increases your odds of winning. So it's not about you have to have the turnover. It's we're going to have a culture that we are going to go after the football. That's the key. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But go after the football. If you have a mentality of going after the football, that's what you need. Okay? So I want to then turn around and throw in another number as we kind of go to include the offense in this.
Okay.
Some people weren't very happy with the offense.
I
They're
was
like,
happy.
yeah, well, the offense didn't do much. Well, first of all, the offense did much more than the week before. And we'll get into the whole first half versus second half, the Aaron Rodgers versus Mason Rudolph, and blah, 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 blah. And it's interesting. You know what? I don't want to get to the number yet because I want to talk about that first. I do. I'm going to save this number. I'm not going to forget it. But I kind of get tired of seeing how people can spin a narrative any way they want, and they don't see that they're doing it. And I know fans can do that, but even seeing it from the media, okay? Because I'm going to ask you a question. Mason Rudolph comes in. He has, we're not even going to count the last drive, because when a drive consists of only taking a knee, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 times, I don't count that as a drive.
Correct.
Now, if you have to come in, get a first down, and then take a knee, you count it as a drive, and it's a successful one. But it was just one day. Okay? They only had 2 possessions. That's not the offense's fault.
Right. They had 2 possessions in the second half.
And what did they do with those 2 possessions, Rich?
Turned them into 10 points.
Yes, the only thing they could have done better was to turn it into 14 points.
Yep.
But I'll be honest with you, Mason Rudolph had not thrown a pass. I'm trying to remember if he came in to take a knee in a game. I can't remember.
He'd thrown 2 passes going into that.
Yeah, no, so, but the bottom line is this was his first action. And he took them on a 7+ minute drive of 15 plays. And they didn't quite get to finish it off. And you know what? I will give him a pass, as it was his first drive of the season, that they settled for 3 instead of 7. And then what they do on the other drive, over 6 minutes, it was like 12 or 13 plays and a touchdown. The Steelers added 14 points on defense. That's not the offense's fault. That's not that the offense didn't do what they needed to do. Because I'll be honest with you, if in both of those situations, if they just get tackled, I think they had another 10 points. I think the Steelers offense could have gone down and scored a touchdown on Duggar's interception if they had to go 74 yards. And there with the James Pierre, they'd have played it ultra conservative and settled for a field goal.
Yeah.
Because they didn't need to score. They didn't need that last touchdown. They really didn't. No. But they got it. They'd have done that. So the offense basically did what they could do. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Mason Rudolph, this means he should be going forward. He should be going forward. But you got to remember, this is what a lot of people like to say. Sometimes it's really easy for a quarterback to come in off the bench mid-game and kind of catch the other team off guard and perform really well. You could even go into another start or 2. We saw that with Mason Rudolph back in 2023. But eventually teams are going to get tape on you and they're going to try to figure stuff out. I mean, it's kind of what happened with Joe Flacco with the Steelers.
Yeah.
They had 1 game of tape on him and had to prepare for it on a short week. But this time they were more prepared. Coach Tomlin admitted it today. So they say this, that they're like, you know what? They could come in and do that. And a backup quarterback could come in and have some success right up front because teams aren't ready for him and aren't prepared for him. Now, I know you could chalk this up to being a veteran player versus being a young player.
Yeah.
But notice how the narrative is exactly opposite for defenders of that putrid mistake on the Lake team from this past week.
I know.
That instead of saying, oh, there was no tape on this player, the defense didn't know what to expect. No, the narrative is, oh, well, he hasn't got to practice with the first team at all. Just wait. It's going to be much better when he actually gets to practice with the first team. So in one case, it's like...
To which I say, if you are, air quotes, first round talent,
yeah.
If you are first round talent, that shouldn't matter.
Yeah. So that's why Mad Cat was already saying no. Where he knew where I was going to go with this. Didn't work for Schnurr. Yeah, honestly. So that's the thing. You can convince yourself of about anything one way or the other. So to me, what the win over the Bengals didn't tell us, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers versus Mason Rudolph, you can't really say, oh, because a bunch of people are like, they should just roll with Rudolph now for the rest of the season and everything. That just shows that Aaron Rodgers, blah, blah, blah. No. You still got to back it off and say, hey, you got to keep a level head. You got to bring some reasonable expectations here and everything. I think this goes to show that Mason Rudolph is a fantastic backup quarterback that can step in and not miss a beat, and he'll take what the defense gives him, and he'll move the football. And my goodness, when he touched the football the very first time in this game, the Steelers had a 1-point lead.
Yep.
They had a 1-point lead. And this could have just as easily been, if you don't have the right backup quarterback and you're dealing like what the Browns were dealing with, this could have spiraled away quickly from the Steelers. Nope. He did a fantastic job.
Just to show what it was, when I saw Rodgers, holding that wrist right before halftime or whatever, I was like, oh, is he going to be able to play? He's going to be able to play. I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. If he can play, he plays. If not, turn the ball over to Mason and, keep rolling.
Yeah. Am I a little bit leery of Mason Rudolph as your starting quarterback for an extended period of time? Yeah, I can't say that he's just going to be better and he's just going to light it up every week. I'm not going that far. But do I think he is an excellent backup quarterback that can come in and have your team not skip a beat with what they're doing? Yes, I do.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
And he showed it in the game. He completed 75% of his passes. I liked that. That might be what I liked the most. Well, actually, no. One thing I liked a little better.
Completed more than that when they had that horrific call on offensive pass interference. Yeah. That was like defensive pass interference in the Sunday night game, atrocious level of call.
What I think I liked even more than his completion percentage was his ability just staying put in the pocket, even as things were coming in around him, and continuing to make the reads and make the throws.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm trying to remember. It might have been on Madden Monday on the Breakfast with Ben's podcast. Like, Rodgers seems antsy in the pocket. Rudolph, if anything, he's going to stand too still in the pocket.
Yeah,
he's going to stand in there more than he should. But I also like, especially if you count that completion to DK, which it should have been, he varied his lengths of passes. Was there a lot of short passes? Sure, but they weren't all short passes.
Correct.
The one to Roman Wilson, on that was that a third down? I think it was. Maybe it was.
Yes.
I don't know, but that was a really nice route, throw, and catch.
17 yards. Yeah. 17-yard out.
Yeah. And I also like that if you're going to dump it off short to a guy on third down, you might as well dump it off to the guy that's absolutely huge and has already showed you how much he's going to truck people all game.
And
so, or have him in front of somebody else to then go and run and get a first down.
Yeah, but even with those, I noticed we were doing a good job. A couple of those to Washington. The one pass early in the game to Freiermuth, we were doing a better job hitting our tight ends with them moving up the field.
Yeah.
They weren't just 3 yards from the line of scrimmage standing still, just little curls. They were, there was movement to them, which I think really helped with some of that yak.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this one up to kind of debunk this. This is from Kennedy Jonesy. I think it is. Yeah. Says Steelers had 18 seasons worth of tape on Flacco. It's ludicrous to think he totally changed his strengths and weaknesses as a Bengal. You can't look at a quarterback in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You've got to look at everything going on around him. The protection, the weapons that he has to throw to, Those things change.
I don't think Joe Flacco's.
He's never had those two guys to throw to.
No, he's never had the quality of receivers that he has right now.
Yeah.
Which is why they were putting up such big numbers coming into this Sunday's game.
It's not that that you don't know anything about him. It's just you take everything that you do know about him, and then all of a sudden, yeah, but there's more to it than that. Imagine Ben Roethlisberger. Imagine another team looking at Ben Roethlisberger. What would Ben Roethlisberger do if all of a sudden, instead of Deontay Johnson, the draft went a little bit different. He's throwing to DK Metcalf back on his rookie deal. Things like that. Or they bring in another huge weapon. Imagine Ben Roethlisberger throwing to Chase and Higgins. You could have known, as Steelers fans, we know him better than anything. But it's not going to be exactly the same because you don't know what his tendencies are when it comes to those guys. And I think that's kind of what burnt the Steelers a little bit the first time. But we don't need to
we often talk about quarterbacks have that comfort guy, that comfort, receiver. And, there's been talk, Aaron Rodgers through the years has had certain tight ends. He's just really have been his guys when things break down, he depends on. And, how that works from team to team, with someone like Flacco, very different than when he was a Raven.
Yeah. Like, for example, you knew what Heath Miller was to Ben Roethlisberger. You knew that he was that safety net. When Flacco shows up in Cincinnati, who's that going to be, stuff, when Flacco had something like that before, now it's different. If you would have taken Ben Roethlisberger off the Steelers, put him on a different team, it would have taken a little bit to figure that out. But yeah, we don't need to go into that for a very long time.
Nope.
Let's take our break because we're running really late with that. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you that offensive number that's going to get you thinking a little bit and say, you know what, maybe being disappointed in that so many points were scored by the defense, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on this offense, even though it was against one of, if not the worst defense in the NFL. So just some things to put it in perspective. We'll touch on that. We'll move on talking about Chicago. With all that, we'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
All right, Rich, we've got to relax. We've got to not worry. I'm not saying that there's nothing to worry about after this win. This is not one of those things because you and I aren't these kinds of fans that all of a sudden the Steelers get it together a little bit in a game, and you're like against a team that's struggling in certain areas anyway, and you're like, oh, they've got to figure it out now. I go back to I don't want to pick on good old Blue Check Beck. I love Michael Beck. I really wish he was still around with us, doing podcasts and everything. But he's still got a pretty big presence on social media. That when the Steelers in 2020 were having their slide, and then they had that one good half against the Colts to come back and win that game and make the playoffs, he was already that everything was back and fine again. I'm like, that's I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to say this game turns everything around for the Steelers. But there were some things in there that I really liked. And I know some people say the offense wasn't good enough against the 32nd ranked defense. But here's my other number. You ready?
Go for it.
22.
First downs by the Steelers.
First downs by the Steelers. It's the only time they've gone over 20 all season.
Yeah.
So even though they only possessed the ball twice in the second half, just because they got their points otherwise, they held the ball long enough to where they actually won the time of possession by 10 seconds. It was going to be dead even if the Steelers didn't get the ball back at the end. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
They had exactly 30 minutes of time of possession when the Bengals had the ball late, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, they still put up a lot of first downs. They moved the football. Was the offense sputtering a little bit in the first half? Yeah. Are there some things that could be concerning that you might be seeing with Aaron Rodgers? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, missing a half of a game and seeing what Mason Rudolph and everything did there, that might have been able to give Aaron Rodgers a chance to relax a little bit.
He got to RELAX.
Yeah. And I mean, to be like, okay, all right, see, this might be able to work a little bit. I'm going to say right now, I know a lot of people want to talk about him and his success against the Bears, which I could bring up if you want to. If he misses this game, this is not the end of the world. If Aaron Rodgers actually gets a couple games off at this part of the season, you could look at that as potentially being a good thing for an older quarterback.
Sure.
If you want to look at things glass half full.
Yes. And the only way you can feel good about that is if you have faith in your number 2 quarterback. You got to have that faith in that number 2 quarterback that he's going to get the job done for a couple of games. And it's nice to be able to have that feeling, to not be like, oh no, here we got to go with Mason. Now we need 5 turnovers at least and 3 touchdowns from the defense to give us a chance. You don't have to feel that way.
I mean, believe it or not, if Aaron Rodgers misses a game, it's not the worst thing right now. I say it now before it's happened. But at the same time, I look at those numbers against the Bears. And for those of you who are wondering, in all-time, regular, and postseason, I don't know that they've ever met in the postseason now that I look at it. He's 25-5. That's his record. It's 25-5. The last time Aaron Rodgers lost to the Chicago Bears, I did not see that game because it was a 1:00 game. I was on my way to Heinz Field to watch Antonio Brown's last game at Heinz Field as a member of the Steelers, didn't know it at the time, and watch Joe Hayden get an interception of Tom Brady for the Steelers to get that 17-10 win over the Patriots. That was the last time the Packers, Aaron Rodgers lost to the Bears. That was 2018, December of 2018. He's won 8 games against them since. So now you can take that for what it's worth. So to me, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, especially with this week, if he's going to try to play through this, you've got to have a mentality of, hey, I just saw what the guy behind me did. He can get the job done. If I'm going to go out there and play through this, I've got to bring it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this game. If it's going to be Rodgers, Rodgers knows he's going to have to go above and beyond and stand in there and make the throws and do what he's got to do, even more so if he's going to come back and play with a broken bone in his hand/wrist, wherever exactly it is. That's just the way I look at it. What do you think?
Yeah. Actually, my mind wandered there for a little bit because you're talking about it, and I can't help myself, Dave. I can't.
What's that?
Well, the Steelers are going out to play at that little Midwest town against that Midwest football team from the city that begins with a C, ends with a O, and Hickog in the middle.
Hickog.
And I get to thinking, are they going to face a regular Rodgers or the miniature Rodgers?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You just can't help it.
No, you can't help it.
Hey, the last time the Steelers played the Bears, you were there.
Yes, I was. I was
in
there.
2021.
Actually, I have it on the tree.
Yeah. What's that?
I have it on the tree.
Yeah. Oh, your picture from the game. I think you might have accidentally unplugged your microphone when you did that because you're gone. Do we get you back? Now it says you're muted. We'll see what happens. So, yeah. So maybe you can wait.
Gotcha.
I hear you.
Yep. I was
There you go.
as I turned, I hit my cord. So
You hit your cord. Yep. So we got you back, but that's good. So I know a lot of people were making a lot of, the Steelers haven't won in Chicago since 1995. Rich, they've only lost 2 games since then. They've only played twice in Chicago since then.
Yeah.
2009, where they lost by 3 points, and 2017 when they lost in overtime. So, yeah, you could say, they don't do very good in Chicago. It's been a long time. They just don't play there often enough. If you're going to talk about a place that you don't play there, except for like every 8 years, then that streak needs to be like the one with Philly that goes all the way back to the 60s.
Yeah.
Just going back to the 90s, I mean, you're talking about since that win, the Steelers are 0-2. Now, I will tell you that before that win, they had dropped, oh my goodness, every game other than that. Because they've only have that one win. So my goodness, let me look at that. How many losses is that? Oh, that's 10 losses previous to that. But also think about this. Of those 10 losses in Chicago previous to that, one was 92, one was 86, and one was 1971. That was the season before the Immaculate Reception. So all these old losses in Chicago are like 40s. I mean, 30s and 40s are what most of them are.
Yeah.
So they just don't play in Chicago very much for that to be such a big thing. So do you want to say anything else about the last game before we get on and do our predictions and anything?
Hold on, just trying to think. No, I think we hit most of the things I was thinking about with that game. So I'm okay. We can move forward.
Yeah. So to me, what that win did and didn't tell us is it told us that the defense was moving in the right direction against a quality offense. And the offense basically did what they could do against a poor defense when they didn't even have to put the points on the board because the defense did it for them.
Yeah. I mean, didn't get much more efficient than offense was in the second half. Extremely efficient.
Extremely efficient. So yeah, very, very good. So now we've already kind of turned a little bit to talk about everything going on with this in Chicago. I'll be honest with you, I just don't know a lot of what's going on with the Bears. I watched them when I really wanted them to win a game, when I watched them play the Ravens. They didn't. They lost that game by a decent bit in Baltimore. It took a pretty big and kind of ridiculous play for them to beat the Bengals in Cincinnati. They squeaked by the Giants. They beat the Vikings. There, it looked like the Vikings had them. It took the lead at the end, and they were going to get them. But it's not like they believe it or not, some people felt like their best win was in week 3 when they beat the Cowboys.
This is what I think of the Bears as a team. I think they are in some ways similar to what the Steelers have been at times. Mm-hmm. They're not necessarily explosive on offense. Mm-hmm. They're not, expecting them to put up 30 points a week. That's not happening. Mm-hmm. They're going to fight and claw and have pretty close game every game, and they're okay if they win 19-16. Mm-hmm. You know, do I think the Steelers can beat this team? I do. But honestly, I think this again comes down a lot to what the defense does.
Mm-hmm.
Limit the big plays. Get off the field on third down, especially when you get them to third and longs. Those types of things. And then offensively, do kind of like we just did this last game against the Bengals. Just, you know, I'm okay with long, drawn-out drives that take up a lot of time. I want them to end in touchdowns, but even field goals are acceptable. Because honestly, this could be one of those games where 20, 21, 22 points wins you the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. This Bears team, they're starting to believe in themselves, which makes them a dangerous team. But I'll tell you this: they have 7 wins, no wins against a team with a winning record. None. 0.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just double checking with some of these. I mean, think about it. They have wins over Dallas, who's 4-5-1. Washington, that's 3-8. Oh, sorry, I missed the Raiders, that are 2-8. They have a win over the Saints, that are, what's their record now? 2-8. They have they lost to Baltimore, lost to Minnesota once, lost to the Lions. They beat the Bengals, who are 3-7. They beat the Giants, who are 2-9. They beat the Vikings this past week, which might have been one of their more impressive wins. But Minnesota's only 4-6.
Yeah.
They would have got back to 5-5 if they would have won that game. So believe it or not, they've only played one game against a team that currently has a winning record. One. And that was the 6-4 Detroit Lions.
Crazy.
Yeah. A lot of people are high on the Bears, but honestly, they're a team that's going to run the danger of the 2024 Steelers. I said the Colts could be that team. Maybe, they had some nice, the Colts still had some good wins over good teams, but they also had a lot of, 2 wins against the Titans, things like that. The Bears is even more to that degree. Listen to their schedule coming up. Okay. They play the Steelers at home. Then they go to Philadelphia on Black Friday for that Black Friday game.
Okay.
Then they're at the Packers, home against the Browns. That's the game they have left that I would say that's a W. Then they're home against the Packers, at San Francisco, and home against the Lions.
Yeah, that's not an easy finish out their schedule.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. This game and their home game against the Browns very well are going to be the only games that they're favored the rest of the season. Because they are currently favored against the Steelers.
Oh, that's good. I'd rather they be favored against the Steelers.
So this is a big game for them.
Yeah.
I mean, this game could actually be things could go in a way that this game is the one for them that decides whether they have a winning record or not this year. Because they got the Browns, and then other than that, they have a bunch. Now, could they win some of those games along the way? Sure. Because they're a team that they're coming along and having a lot of confidence in themselves. This is the first test of what they're going to have of a bunch of big tests going forward. So that's pretty interesting. So I just thought I'd bring that up when it comes to things with the Bears. All right, let's get to it. You ready for your score?
Sure.
All right. Just remember, if you're new to us here, don't put your score in there yet till I call for it. Then when you do, I'll bring them all up, read them. If you don't put a team, we assume that you mean that the winning team is the Steelers. but feel free to go ahead and put that in there. Rich, what do you think is going to happen this week at 1:00 when God intended NFL football to be played in Chicago against the Bears?
All right. The Steelers fooled me once. Shame on them. I'm not going to let them fool me twice. Shame on me. Not confident enough yet. Beating Cincinnati, it makes them want to turn around and say, oh, the Steelers are going to win. Just like when they turn around and beat the Colts, I thought, oh, the Steelers will take care of the Chargers. That was god-awful. I am still I have not seen enough to convince me that they are ready to beat some of the better teams in the league. I'm not sure if Chicago fills that, reaches that level yet or not. But I'm going to give this one to the Bears at home, 20-19 over the Steelers.
That's interesting to go that way. I went ahead and put it out there for other people to go ahead and put their scores in there. Yeah, I could see this as a close one, a tight one. The Bears have just found ways to win those kind of games.
Yeah.
This year. So I'm just saying, for those people thinking, oh, you can't go into Chicago and win, I was just reminding people that's why I brought up about the games that the Bears have to play. If the Steelers do get this win, whether or not it's a high quality win or not isn't going to be determined by winning this game Sunday. You're not going to be able to tell until you get to the end of the season, look back and say, hey, that Bears team won some games down the stretch. They were a good team. Right. Or you'll be like, the Bears, they had an easier schedule to start and they just kind of folded at the end. We don't know what that story is going to be when we get there. So let's go ahead. We got the scores flying in here now. Believe it or not, Matt Cat was the first one in there, just like he was the first person in the live chat tonight before the show even got started. Matt Cat's 49 has 23-16. They'll all settle for honest effort again. So that would be Steelers. Stu Dog 88 has 23-20 Steelers, another cardiac game. Afton Ford has Steelers 18, Bears 21. That would be, I'm seeing a lot of decent close scores here. Oh, here's one not quite as much. Kathy Ford has 30-24 Steelers. Boy, I'd love to see a game like that. Okay. Outside Steeler fan has Good Guys 21-10, just like that 05 game. I like that. Good throwback to it. Then we got Pick and Jew Big Dummy has 21-12 Steelers. Matthew Bunk has 34-24 Steelers. Steeler Chick 46 has Steelers 24, Bears 21. Thomas JP has agrees with the others. That was your score, right, Rich?
That was my score, yes.
He agrees with yours. 20-19 Bears. Mr. Woodside has Steelers 23-20. And then brought up how, hey, that win against the Patriots looks a lot better now than what it did when the Steelers won.
So, yes, it did. Yes, it does.
We got T. Pratt in the house.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out
Steelers.
when Tim Pratt, when in the world did you turn into such an optimistic Steeler fan? That's not usually what I'm hearing while we're out fishing on the lake.
Yeah. Okay, Jamie Carlo has 21-17 bad guys because when he picks against the Steelers, they win.
Yeah.
Yep. Tyler W gets in there. I'd seen if Tyler had been in here earlier. Says Bears 27, Steelers 23. He's a sloppy game. Then we got Black and Gold Steelers fan has 20-17 Steelers. We might have a few more here float in here or there, but I notice a lot of people are not going crazy with the high scores. I still have a little bit more to break down of this opponent. And I'll do that a little bit more on Pittsburgh Standard Time as well, and then on the preview with Jeff and Brian. But hey, we're going to be bringing you a lot of different podcasts. If you missed bad language today, it's because it wasn't there. There was a problem with the. I don't know if you all noticed it. Twitter was down this morning. We had problems on the back end of the web. There was just a lot. There was something weird going on with a bunch of different places. Did you notice that with anything today, Big Bro?
I believe it or not, I did not. I was
okay.
I was busy with work.
You weren't.
So by the time
technology today, right?
By the time I hopped on and saw what you guys were talking about in the Slack channel, everything was good to go by that point.
I know, like ChatGPT was down some this morning. There was just a lot of stuff going on with the cloud. We had an issue where we couldn't get bad language to actually process to the show to actually show up. And by the time it was going to, we were ready for a Mike Tomlin press conference. We decided to hold that. You're going to get it probably tomorrow. We have a Steel City Insider. I don't know if that's going to be tomorrow or the next day. We're going to have everything out eventually, but it just changed up the schedule a little bit. But you're going to have those shows this week. So like I said, there should be a Steel City Insider this week because, they've been dealing with health issues.
All right. So I have to bring up, I just received a text a moment ago.
Okay.
And Tim Pratt was letting me know that he was trying to make up for my doom and gloom.
Oh, he
was trying to
your yang.
There
he
you
was
go.
the night to your day, or the day to your night, I guess it would be. You would say it that way. So that's what he was doing. So Still Dog 88 said there was a lot of websites down today. Like our website didn't go down, steelcurtainetwork.com. Make sure you're checking that out. But we had problems getting new articles to come up early in the day, but we eventually got there. So we had a lot of stuff. A big problem was KT Smith couldn't finish his article to go out earlier today because the back end of stuff wasn't working. But eventually he did, and he got that article out today. Make sure you check out all his stuff there at the website. And we're going to keep bringing you the podcasts. It's kind of nice to go from a 1 p.m. game on a Sunday to a 1 p.m. game on a Sunday. Haven't had that for a while.
No. And it just feels right.
Yes, it does. It feels like it should. So the only thing that I haven't checked the weather yet. Part of me's like, I hope it's snowing in Chicago on Sunday, just because that would feel right to see.
No, it's not. Believe it or not, it's probably going to be pretty warm in Chicago on Sunday if I've got my weather down correctly right now.
Yep, we'll see how that goes. But Rich, you can include that there if you want to. What do you have to say to close us out here tonight?
Nice. Look, don't. Even though I did not pick the Steelers to win this week, does not mean I am off the Steelers right now. I'm just not fully trusting them yet. When I put my trust in them before, and they burned me. I liked a lot of what I saw in this game last week. There are still some things that they need to be working on, but I saw a lot of good things. Brian Brown says 10-7 Steelers. To me, to go on the road to a place you don't play very often, to play a team that's got a pretty good record, even though we're not sure what that record means, this would be a big one for the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Like, this would be a nice one for them to notch up into the victory column. I'm just glad that finally, it seems like what's been forever back-to-back weeks where I get to sit and watch football at 1 o'clock and it be the Steelers. Get me into my comfort zone. Come Sunday, I'll have the New jersey, donned and be sitting on the couch, right? My knee-jerk reaction ready to go. I want the knee-jerks to be good. Can't wait.
You gotta just chill out, man.
Can't wait.